On March 3rd of 1875, just 3 years after the Yellowstone National Park was established, the second national park was designated by President Ulysses S. Grant on Mackinac Island.
And here with us to discuss the history, the significance, and what the park is doing for the 150-year milestone is Chief of Marketing Dominic Miller.
Now, hey, Dominic, good morning to you. Thanks for being with us.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Go ahead.
For starters, let's just talk about the history and the significance of this.
Yeah, I mean, not many places, can celebrate in hundreds of years. So, 150 years ago, this park was signed into existence, and national parks weren't a thing. There was one other park, and the fact that President Ulysses Grant signed this into law, it sets the stage for what becomes Mackinac Island today. Just such forward thinking to preserve these lands for the public use, and to set aside this beautiful island in the middle of nowhere in 1875 as a place for the enjoyment of the public is just an incredible thing, and we're so honored to be stewards of this and be able to present this to people all the time, but especially this year and a special anniversary year.
So Dominic, I was reading up on what you sent over in preparation for today, and I didn't realize that more than 50% of the island was set aside for the park. I mean, that's pretty remarkable.
Absolutely, and it worked out. Just so many things worked in favor of this happening. So, the fort had been established there in the 1700s. In 1780, the British had moved in, the Americans had taken it over, and by the time 1875 rolls around, 50% plus of the island is part of that military reservation that was there. So you had soldiers there, you had the federal government presence there. But it was kind of this thought of what do we do with it? Kind of getting to this point because the military presence isn't as necessary. So let's just turn it over to the public. So you have half the island as part of this military reservation, and now it's open and available for the public to enjoy. And that's something that's just so forward thinking in 1875, and so just exciting for us for me that they did that, but just an incredible thought that this was happening 150 years ago in this place.
And now today, what are some of those protected icons that we find on Mackinac Island that so many of us come and visit and love?
Absolutely. So Fort Mackinac is the centerpiece, of course. Dominates the bluff. It's been there for since 1780. But then other treasures of Mackinac Island of Michigan. So you have Arch Rock, you have Sugarloaf Rock. The Fort Holmes area is protected as part of the national park, then the state park. And then over time, the state park has acquired other areas such as British Landing and Friendship's Altar and Browns Brook and all these other areas that have become just such treasures to that Mackinac Island visit. And it's this act signed in 1875 that leads to all these things. And then it also spurs the creation of other iconic things. So once the park is established, Grand Hotel is built 10 years later, 12 years later. The palatial cottages on the east and west bluffs, that iconic look as you're pulling into Mackinac Island, that's a direct result of the national park coming into existence. So, so much of what we know and treasure of Mackinac Island today, it goes right back to this point in time in 1875.
And I'd love to be a fly on the wall when they're planning and then building the Grand Hotel. And will we ever fill this space? This is such a huge hotel. Maybe we don't need this much. And yet here we are today, just still standing proud. We're looking at some of the pictures too from the island, and also the gallery exhibit. You've got something opening in May that has really invited a ton of artists to contribute. Yeah,
so every year we do a different juried exhibition down at the Richard and Jane Manoogian Mackinac Art Museum. And then last summer when we were coming up with a theme for this, it's like, well, of course, we've got this celebration. So the gallery is going to be called Iconic Mackinac. We put out a call to artists, throughout Michigan and the U.S. to tell us what does Iconic Mackinac mean to them. And actually the submissions just closed for that. We had 100+ submissions to go into a space that'll hold 20 final pieces. I've had a chance to look at, of the 100+ that were submitted, to look at a handful of them. There are some cool, gorgeous, just interesting pieces that'll go in that exhibit for this year. And we encourage everyone to, take a break when you're on the island, come into that art museum and just sit and relax in this gallery of what people's visions of iconic Mackinac means to them. You won't regret it. It's truly, those exhibits are always beautiful, but this one being part of the national park anniversary and hitting on those icons of Mackinac, it's really going to be a special gallery this year. Really looking forward to that opening up in May.
I love too that if you're not physically able to trek across the island or bike across the island, you can see all this in the museum too.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
And this is such an iconic year, 150 years. I feel like Mackinac Island means so much to Michiganders and people all over the world. What do you think this celebration, really highlights for, especially Michiganders who grow up going to Mackinac Island?
Well, and I think for so many people, Mackinac means so much to so many people. Everybody's a broad word, but people who come to this island have such special memories, whether it was coming on your 4th grade field trip, coming for somebody's wedding, I worked there for a summer, or whatever that may be. And, so Mackinac is just such a special part of that shared experience we all have as Michiganders, right? And so this allows us to celebrate, the Mackinac that we know and love today can really, really kind of trace its origins. There was obviously people here for thousands of years before Europeans came here, but we can really trace the Mackinac that we know today to this act that Ulysses Grant signed in 1875 to protect this, so much of that island from development, to remain a public space, for the people of Michigan and further to come and enjoy. So this anniversary, I think, will help people, cherish what this special place means to them and what it means to the state of Michigan and the people who call this place home. Just so excited to be able to show it off in that way to just help celebrate, this great place that we have for the people of Michigan.
Dominic, less than a minute to go here. Real quickly, touch on the documentary and then the book that's out for this year too.
For sure. We worked with the same team that did a documentary for us a few years ago. So we did a half-hour doc about the history of the national park. We can show it in visual form. It'll be aired every day inside Fort Mackinac. We'll put it in other locations as well for people to be able to watch it. A trailer is out, and I want to do a plug for our website, but there's a little trailer of just some of the incredible footage they got that's on our website right now. Absolutely stunning. People will love this documentary. Excited for that to debut in May. And then the official book, it's called Mackinac National Park. I was just looking at it before I went on right now. But it's the official reading history of the national park. It'll be for sale at all of our museum stores, and that gets you the nitty gritty of how it came to be and what what it became. So a couple ways to really delve deeper into that history of the national park.
Very cool. How
Oh,
special it
something
is
to learn,
that
yep.
that we have this here in northern Michigan. One of
Absolutely.
my favorite parts.
Great little trivia piece too.
Yeah.
That it was the second national park. That's phenomenal. That's very cool.
Absolutely.
Dominic,
There's
thanks so
only
much.
2 parks for a long time.
Yeah, that's right. We'll share the interview and of course details on 910news.com, and happy 150th.
Thank you so much.